Welcome to Bedcrime Stories Podcast. I'm your host, T, and I'm so glad you're here. Let me jump in. I want to talk about the Debbie Collier case today. Hey, but before I get started, do me a favor, hit that like button. Hi, friends. I wanted to share the latest news in this case. This weekend, Jeffrey Bearden, Debbie's son, appeared on court TV with Vinnie Politan. Also on the panel was retired FBI special agent and attorney Bobby Chacon. According to the FBI Retired.com website, and I quote, Chacon currently provides commentary to national news outlets regarding law enforcement, counterterrorism, and other matters, mainly involving the FBI, end quote. Chacon appeared first with Politan, and he talked about the Venmo message that Debbie Collier sent, allegedly, to her daughter, Amanda Bearden, with that large chunk of change, nearly $2,400. As you may recall, that message said, "They're not going to let me go. Love you. There's a key to the house under the blue flower pot." Chacon said that in the first part of the Venmo message, where it says, "They are not going to let me go," what struck him most is that when Debbie says they, she is likely referring to her abductors. Chacon explained that by using they alone, without any explanation first as to who they are, it implies that Debbie knew that her daughter Amanda already knew who they are. Take a listen.
As far as the message, what strikes me most is the use of the word they. So they, she's referring, I think, to whoever this might be, but she's referring to it to her daughter as if her daughter knows who they are. So you don't send a text to somebody, without any kind of points of reference. So any context. So when she says they, it seems to me like she's assuming the daughter knows who she's talking about.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I blocked the word red rum because he used the red rummers word. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Didn't want to get struck by YouTube for that. That's the first time I've heard anyone say that about this Venmo message, and it really struck me. Once again, it feels like the arrow is pointing in Amanda Bearden's direction, and to me, this points to Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is usually the right one. When Jeffrey Bearden appeared, well, actually he didn't appear, Court TV fed his audio in, but when he was on, Jeffrey told Vinnie Politan that he had no clue why his mother Debbie was so far north of Athens, Georgia, on Saturday, September 10th, the day she went missing. Jeffrey said there was a dollar store very close to her home in Athens that she frequented, so there was really no reason for her to travel 70 miles away to Clayton, Georgia. Jeffrey also stated that his mom was indeed a Georgia Bulldogs fan, but she was an even bigger Alabama fan. Debbie Collier grew up in Alabama with her sister, Diane. Diane Shirley still lives in Alabama, and she called the police after her niece, Amanda, called to say her mother was missing. Diane felt that Amanda wasn't getting back to her with important information, and she said to the police that she was very worried about her sister, Debbie. To me, that's another red flag that points in a certain direction. Jeffrey also told Politan that his mom historically took her Saturdays to work half days at her job and run errands, usually grocery shopping. Listen to what Jeffrey said.
I've watched that video from the Family Dollar store, and I'm down here in Georgia also, and it's a Saturday. She's dressed in all red. Do you know where she was going that day? And is she a Georgia Bulldog fan? Was she going to watch the game or something? Do we have any idea?
Yeah, my mom is definitely a Georgia Bulldog fan. Go Dogs. My mom is an even bigger Alabama fan, to be honest with you. I think that day is something that even I'm left with a lot of questions, something I wish I could tell you more about. I can tell you that my mom was someone who historically took her Saturdays to, work half days at her job, run errands for the week, like grocery shopping, just things in town, or she would be resting and relaxing at home from a long work week, where she would like to, invite people over, watch TV, watch a movie, have a meal, be with her husband, be with her friends and her children. So it's something that's still kind of haunting my family to this day.
What strikes me with this is that Jeffrey said his mom typically worked half days on Saturday for the real estate company where she was the office manager. So was Debbie working on that Saturday that she disappeared? Did she have something to do in Clayton for work? Could that explain why she drove all that way and then went into that Family Dollar store? That seems like a possibility. But don't you think Debbie's husband, Steve Collier, would know that Debbie was going to be driving to Clayton? I would think a wife would tell her husband when she's going on a road trip like that. But of course, all relationships are different, and maybe Debbie and Steve didn't tell each other their daily schedules. Also, you'd think that law enforcement by now would have talked to Debbie's workplace, the Carriage House Realty Company in Athens, Georgia, to see if she had something to do for work that day in Clayton. Maybe they do know, and it's something the police are keeping silent about. Jeffrey also expressed his upset once again at how Sheriff Joey Terrell of the Habersham County Sheriff's Office treated him. Jeffrey mentioned being upset that someone said to be close to the investigation leaked information to reporters before sharing it with the family. Bobby Chacon told Jeffrey that in a case like his mother's, a small-time sheriff's office like Habersham County can get stressed out and make mistakes. However, Chacon also stated that there's no excuse for anyone in the sheriff's office to be leaking any information to reporters. Chacon said information should never be leaked in any case, period. So it makes me wonder why someone associated with law enforcement wanted to leak that particular information about the case, about possibly moving away from foul play and toward an accident or an unaliving event. And by the way, if anyone gets upset with me for using the absurd wording unaliving, you can jump in a lake. YouTube definitely doesn't like the actual term that starts with an S, and I'm not willing to get penalized for using it. Sorry, not sorry. Just trying to protect myself, people. When Vinnie asked Jeff what he thinks happened to his mother, he said he's still feeling that it's down to foul play. He said from what he knows and what he knows about his mother, there's no reason for her to have been out there. And I think by out there, Jeffrey meant out there in the woods in Tallulah Falls. So Jeffrey seems to be leaning toward a scenario in which his mom Debbie was maybe meeting someone and it turned into something dark that she hadn't expected. Take a listen.
What do you think happened? Do you have any thoughts about or theories about what happened here?
I think I'm still left feeling like this is a homicide, based on, the discussions that I've had with law enforcement. But then again, with how long everything has gone on, some of the decisions that have been made, and then some of the recent, engagements and lack of communication, it's hard to know, even what is happening or what could have happened at this point. I don't, again, want to be a hypocrite and say that my family and I are not prepared for anything at this point, just given how life has gone over the last 2 months for us. But, I still, what I know and what I know of my mother, it still just doesn't make sense for her to be out there. And so, I think as like someone as a concerned son, I'm still scared that she met, she entered into something that she didn't know she was entering into, and something bad happened.
So Jeffrey seems to be leaning toward a scenario in which his mother, Debbie, was maybe meeting someone and it turned into something dark that she hadn't expected. So him saying that makes me think maybe Jeffrey is now backtracking on his statement that he wasn't sure if that was his mother on the video shopping in that Family Dollar store in Clayton. By saying that he believes she went north to possibly meet up with someone and it turned into something bad she wasn't expecting, he's sort of implying that he believes Debbie was in Clayton. So that seems to infer that he thinks it could be his mom in the Family Dollar store. At least that's my takeaway. In other news, by the way, we learned back on October 7th of 2022 that the FBI was joining the investigation into Debbie Collier's death. Last Friday, November 4th, the Habersham County Sheriff's Chief Deputy, Murray Kogod, told the Athens Banner-Herald that, and I quote, "The FBI offered its help. They wanted to see if they could review the case to see if there is any way to assist us," end quote. According to Kogod, the FBI special agents examined the case file last Thursday, so that would be on November 3rd of 2022. What hits me about this news is that we were told back on October 7th that the FBI was going to assist the Habersham County detectives. So why did it take nearly a month for the FBI to finally look at the case file? So that's pretty much all the new information that the article contained. Moving on to Amanda's younger boyfriend, amateur MMA fighter Andrew Gigerich. He's turned back up in my comments sections. He initially appeared as MMA 225 or 125. Then he switched briefly to simply Robert, and recently he showed up under his actual name, Andrew Gigerich. In Andrew's most recent comments, he's been bashing Jeffrey Bearden again. Andrew also stated once again that the reason Debbie Collier's message to her son Jeffrey didn't get through to him is because Jeffrey had his mom blocked on his phone. You may recall that Debbie sent Amanda the large wad of cash with the ominous message, and Jeffrey was sent a simple message of "I love you" without any money included. That's weird, right? If a mom is going to do herself in, as some are speculating, wouldn't you think that she'd send her son some cash as well? Why did Jeffrey only get the "I love you" message that didn't go through? That's what I question about that transaction. But Andrew Gigerich keeps emphasizing that the "I love you" message didn't go through to Jeffrey because he had blocked his mother. What Andrew is saying is hearsay, by the way, and I've reached out to Jeffrey Bearden to try and get a response from him about whether or not he had his mother blocked from his phone. So far, Jeffrey hasn't gotten back to me. I don't know for sure that he received my email, and if he did, is he opting not to respond, or is it possible that my email didn't even make it through? But I wanted to give Jeffrey a chance to respond to Andrew's somewhat incendiary allegations about him. Note that Jeffrey also told Vinnie Politan that his mother wasn't in the habit of sending such large amounts of money, so he wants to know why that was done, and he too wants to know who the "they" are. So Jeffrey continues to question everything and to be in this surreal state of mind that the rest of us can only imagine and we don't want to imagine because it's really way too horrible. That's all for now. Let's hope we get some information or some movement on this case soon. The truth is what we're seeking, not a convenient wrap-up so that Habersham County can move on to their next case. Debbie Collier and the people who loved her deserve the truth, whatever that is. Until the next time on Bed Crime Stories, do me a favor, hit that like button.